Good Thursday morning, everybody. It is our favorite day of the week. We've got our game predictions coming up for Texas-TCU. We've got Aggie Fact Thursday with Kyle Umling. We've got an orange backdrop just like that, like magic.
Yeah, we're not in DKR this weekend.
It's a special, special day. Nash, how are you doing today, this morning?
I'm doing all right. We're it's sad because we're already over 75% of the way through the season. So, season's flying by quickly. But at the end of the day, we're 8-1. So I'm pumped.
Here you go, 8-1 with a chance to go 9-1 this week. Still on track for the Big 12 championship game, but they can't have a letdown. For those of you tuning in, expecting to see Aaron, he is producing behind the scenes but traveling, so he can't be on air. He will join us again next week. But the Specs chat line is up and running. Do what?
I said, sorry, they're just going to have to deal with us.
You're stuck with us.
Sorry. Yeah, I know that they come for Aaron, but hey,
hang with us for a little bit. They like looking. They just don't want to hear. That's all. All this. I'm just kidding. The Specs chat line is up and running. Sandman, first in the house, complaining about the TCU all-purple unis. And, yeah, Sandman, nothing does beat those icy whites. I still like the Stormtrooper look. Prefer to call it that, but,
The pants are purple?
That's what he's saying. I have yet to look that up. You can Google that.
It's like one of those NFL color rush jerseys.
Yeah, those color rush schemes, which never look good, by the way. Benny Rogers, second. Good morning to you, Benny. Good luck to your Malakoff Tigers this week. Texas man got his horns up. That is the name of the show. Get your horns up. We appreciate you guys joining us. Everyone like Burnt Orange Blood, who's in the house. He says, good morning to everybody. Stanley, he's here for the gangbang. Sorry, Stanley. That's not happening this morning, but stick around. You might have fun anyway. Too Broke to Pay Attention is in the house. Colton Bunting is in the house. Ben G. Always a pleasure, Ben. Glad you're here. Yeah, Stan, you're right. You done messed up, AA Ron. You're missing out on a good time. Can't blame that. And Too Broke, yeah, he actually comes for you and me, Nash. That's why he's here. You're my boy, Too Broke. Hope you get paid someday soon. And Robert
hope he wins a jersey.
Yeah, hope you win the jersey, Too Broke. Yeah, Sandman responding, by the way. TCU's Instagram shows they're going to wear purple jerseys, purple pants, and helmets for the game.
I wonder if they're the ones that have that the red outline on the numbers for the
blood,
the blood deal.
That was always
with the horned lizard.
That was so bad. But it's hard for TCU, right? I mean, what are they going to really do? I don't know. A lot of their uniform combinations just don't cut the mustard, if you will. I don't know. I still kind of like the old TCU uniforms, like back in the 80s, that were just more like a little purple and gray, and but I'm an old man, so it is what it is. Anyway, we've got some Longhorns to talk about. We're going to break down the game. First, I had to mention it was a very disappointing loss for the Horns in volleyball last night. They were actually swept by K-State in Manhattan. This is the Longhorns' first loss since September 15th, and it snaps a 13-match win streak and a 22-match Big 12 win streak. So they had a chance to lock up the conference title this week, and instead they got swept. So that's a shame. This year's volleyball team seems to be not quite maybe on the same level that they were last year. I mean, obviously, they were national champs, so it's hard to...
They're dominant last year.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to repeat that, but they're still really good.
Well, the bar's been set pretty high for the volleyball teams. It's been a consistent high bar.
Oh, yeah. Much like the swimming and diving, I think they still have a chance to have a great run in the NCAA tournament, but we'll see where they end up. How close they come to repeating. I don't know. It's going to be.
I wonder how much it's like baseball, because how baseball, like by far one of the best qualities going into the tournament is your team hot or cold?
Yeah.
You can have one heck of a season, but if your team is cold going into the regionals, good luck.
Yeah. That's true. And I don't know if that equates to volleyball
I just have no clue with volleyball.
So I don't know. We'll see.
That'd be a good question to ask somebody one day.
We're going to be following them, though. We'll be watching. Yeah. We'll keep you up to date with what happens. So it'll be fun to watch. Nash, we got to talk football, though, right? We got to start breaking down the Texas versus TCU game. Real quick, before we get into our predictions, I do have to mention Quinn Ewers continues to be on track. It looks like he's going to play. OnWire, of course, reported on Orange Bloods he was 75%, if that tells you anything. And it's looking more and more like it's going to happen. So does that give we're obviously going to pick based off Quinn Ewers playing, not versus Malik Murphy playing. But what do you think about that news, Nash? You excited? You cautiously optimistic? You trepidatious? What are you feeling about Quinn Ewers coming back?
To be honest, I was getting a little bit of a gut feeling that I felt like he might not be playing because but it also comes from Sark. That dude is one of the. He's not going to go up there and shovel you a bunch of crap on the podium. But the one thing he's not about to do is be accurate with injuries. And we've talked about it before. What does practicing mean? He says he's been saying Quinn's been practicing. What level is that practicing? Is he out there doing some stretches every once in a while? And stand on the sideline, and that could be considered practicing. I don't know, like walkthrough type stuff. So we'll see. But I feel like that more applies to Catalan now with the reporting that's been going on. So I don't know. It's one of these things that I was like kind of up in the air on. But if the reporting is trending that way, I'm really pumped for that because Quinn took care of the football. Hopefully we see that, but that'll be interesting to watch how he continues from where he left off. You're on mute.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was on mute. I apologize. Yeah, I was saying you're on a roll now. Let's get into it. What do you foresee Quinn Ewers doing on Saturday?
Yeah, I think that this is going to be a really good game. I'm kind of bumping my prediction up a little bit. I think he's going to be limited on how much he attempts to pass, how much he attempts in the passing game with his arm coming back. Just naturally, you want to take it easy, especially when you have the stable of running backs that we're going to have. So I think Quinn Ewers is going to go 16-21. That's above a 75% completion percentage. 275 yards, 3 touchdowns on the day.
That's a really healthy.
It's a really good day.
Yards per attempt.
It's the best he's had. It would be the best he's had, and I think it's just going to come down to yards after catch from Worthy. Ultimately, this game.
Okay, that's cool. I like it. I think it's that would be 17 yards per attempt. That's aggressive, but I like it.
No, it really is. Like, it probably is not going to be. I want to be very clear. It's probably not going to be that high. I just wanted to get higher than what my original was, 250.
Yeah. No, I like it. I like it. It's funny. I felt like I was kind of high on Quinn already. I've got him going 20 of 25 for 250 and 2 touchdowns. The 25 is the number that I'm not sure if he gets to 25 attempts. And I don't think it's anything injury related. I think the game plan for Texas is going to be more run heavy. So your prediction certainly could happen. It would involve some really big explosive plays in the pass game, which are definitely possible. Texas has the talent to do it. Now, TCU secondary is the strength of their defense. So that kind of played into why I was thinking a more run-heavy game script. But but I mean, their secondary is not any. It's good, but is it better than what they faced at Alabama, for instance? So I don't think Texas is going to be too stressed about TCU.
Yeah, no, it's 13 yards per attempt. I'm going to stick with the 275. I think it's not 17 yards.
No, you're right. I did it based off 16.
No, yeah, you're good. I was just it's just.
I mean, look,
it's in the reasonable. It's definitely high. Like that would still be his highest yards per attempt of the season. So
yeah,
but I think probably leaning more towards 200 or 250 yards is more reasonable. But like I said, I mean, you're going to see it with a little bit later. I think that Worthy he's been having a lot of targets he said double-digit targets the last 2 weeks. Last week he probably should have had a 200+ yard game with accurate targets.
Yeah, and
I think that's something that Quinn's going to get him.
All right, I like it. I think it's a very, I would love to see Quinn come back from injury and
it would inspire a lot of confidence.
And yes, Sam, man, we are banking on Quinn playing. That's why I was saying we're going with we think Quinn is going to play. That's the reporting from Orange Bloods that he was more likely than not to play. We'll probably get more of an update tonight in the War Room. In fact, I know there will be more of an update on orangebloods.com tonight in the War Room. So we're banking on Quinn playing, and it was what we reported 75% earlier in the week. So I'm gonna go with that. And by the way, Nash stepped away real quick, which gives me a chance to say Sark After Dark is right. Good luck to all Texas high school playoff teams. The road to state starts tonight. He's cheering for Vandergrift. Obviously, that's fine. That's good. I'm cheering for my Athens Hornets. They actually made the playoffs. They had to beat Palestine in the last game of the season to do it. They did. They pounded Palestine, in fact. So they made the playoffs. They're going to be taking on Lumberton, the Lumberton Raiders, who won District 10. Athens finished fourth in their district. So they're taking on which, I don't love that the fourth place team makes the playoff. Yeah, but whatever. Good for the high school kids, to get in there and get in and get.
And I do want to shout out to the McNeil Mavericks, Hoof 'em Mavs. They broke the playoff drought.
Yeah. How long was it?
Huh?
How long was the drought?
Yeah, the Mavericks will be in the first postseason for the first time since 2004.
Ooh.
Hey, I do remember as a young McNeil Maverick, we used to cheer for the punter. we had a really good kicker and punter. Really ironic when you had the team and we'd be sitting out there. We'd be Janet. Yeah, we'd be sitting
nice.
There. His name. Nice. We got loud too.
Ben G checking in Crockett too in South Austin. Good for you, Ben G. And good morning to See Clear from Knoxville. Ooh, the other orange T team. There you go. All right. Nash, you said you think Quinn Xavier Worthy is going to have a big game. How big a game is Xavier Worthy going to have?
Yeah. So I was alluding to it just a second ago. I think there's going to be a good amount of yards after the catch. I mean, honestly, 17 yards per catch or 17.5. That's not outlandish for Worthy or Adonai this year.
No, not at all.
Worthy hasn't quite hit that mark this year, but he's been doing a lot better as far as getting these deeper targets. One thing that's really been crazy is Adonai. Now he's hit that number multiple times this year, but his yards after the catch has not been crazy. So this has all been just he's running amazing routes, getting open, and doing it often.
But you also have to factor in Adonai, damn near every catch he makes is in the end zone, so there are no yards after catch when he's scoring touchdowns.
Well, yeah, but also to be fair, some of those catches he's kind of catching the ball and coming down, but at the same time it's just and that's not going on. You know what? At the end of the day, I will certainly take whatever it is. I'm not asking for him to force Gump it through the back of the end zone.
It'll be interesting to see how Adonai, if Quinn Ewers is back, how how Adonai looks on Saturday, because the connection with him and Malik was legit. It was real. Those two were on the same page way more than Worthy was. Worthy is obviously on the same page with Ewers more. So you know what? I've got Worthy with 8 catches for 85 yards. I'm not expecting a lot of explosive offensive, a lot of explosive plays in the pass game, for the simple reason that, as we talked about in our scouting report on Wednesday, this 3-3-5 defense that TCU runs, I think they're going to be dropping a lot into coverage. So I think, I think TCU will be trying to limit those big plays from the Texas receivers. So I do have him with 8 catches and 85 yards, which is a nice day. I just don't know that he's going to be, busting loose. But I could be wrong, because obviously he's got the talent to do it on any snap. So it'll be interesting to see this one play out. So far, it seems like you and I are on a little different wavelengths as far as you're expecting more of a big play passing game, and I'm expecting more of a run-heavy offense from Texas, which gets us into the Jonathan Brooks stats, by the way. I'm going with JB's getting 22 carries, which is on the upper end for him this year. But I'm going to say 22 carries for 175 and 2 touchdowns. I think this is going to be a great Jonathan Brooks game. Gets him right back into the conversation nationally for being, one of the best in the country. I mean, he's still top 10, I think, in national rushing. So but I think this is going to be a big game for Jonathan Brooks.
Yeah, it's weird to think of this as a bounce back game after he's been 3 yards short of 100 yards combined in the last 2 weeks combined. So this dude, he has been absolutely everything you could have asked for and more from the running back position. I think he's going to give us 20 carries, 165 yards combined, 2 touchdowns. This is it really sucked for him last week, because he had a screen pass that he probably was going to house for 75 yards.
Yeah.
That guy, I forget what penalty it was at the beginning of the snap. You could see he was like, oh, and it pissed me off after, because I was 17 yards away from making $500. Jonathan Brooks, he was so close, man. I just needed 17 more yards from him.
That's awesome.
Parlay.
So I was right, by the way. Brooks is 6th in the country in rushing. Right behind him, by the way, is Taj Brooks, the Texas Tech running back. And I mentioned last week when Tech played TCU, Taj Brooks went for 145. So I do think this is a run-heavy game, and I think Jonathan Brooks is going to tear him up. He will be eating a lot of purple, which, by the way, Jonathan Brooks is an Elite Sports Memorabilia family member, and the newest family member to join Elite Sports Memorabilia will be paving some of those holes. Kelvin Banks, the big man himself, has signed with ESM. This is your chance to pre-order some Kelvin Banks merchandise. He'll be doing the autograph signing in December, so you can pre-order it now. I think it's $125 for a jersey, $175 for a mini helmet, $275 for a full-size helmet. But here's the beautiful thing, and this is why I think the pre-orders are so critical. For an extra $25, you can actually get an inscription. He will sign something, to Johnny, hook 'em, get your horns up, Kelvin Banks, or whatever, whatever the inscription
not
is.
Whatever, not entirely whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
the inscriptions
within reason, right? But you can pre-order an inscription. Once the signing happens, that goes away. You're not going to have it. You'll just get the standard Kelvin Banks signature, which is still very cool. I mean, that merchandise is still cool. You can get that with someone like Anthony Hill, who signed recently, or Adonai Mitchell. We were talking about A.D. Mitchell. He's a member of the ESM family. Xavier Worthy merchandise is available. Quinn Ewers, Ethan Burke, Jonathan Brooks. All of these guys are ESM clients, and they're in the ESM family. And you can be in the ESM family too. If you whip out your phone, scan this QR code, and go check it out, you too could have a wall that looks just like Nash's, which is still really freaking cool, if you ask me. You going to jump on this Kelvin Banks signing, Nash?
I might have to. Got to give the big men some love.
I mean, he and DJ Campbell's also a member, by the way. DJ Campbell's playing great. I wrote in my column on orangebloods.com, which went up last night. Cam Williams looked very good. I mean, I know he had the 3 false start penalties, but dude, he looked great. And all of the players were raving about him
Look,
this week.
you're gonna have look when there's 105,000 people in the stands. The season is on the line, right? You're gonna have some jitters.
Sure.
And
first start,
it's not. They're not. That's not a gimme on the defense. That's not a gimme defensive line that was going up against. So, yeah, he had. Look, I'm not even going to toss the 3 penalties aside. He had one hell of a game.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't ignore the 3 false starts because that. If it was 1, you'd be like,
no, I'm saying, but even including that, like, I'm considering that when I'm saying,
yeah, you're factoring that into the grade, and it's still a really high grade. I mean,
I can sit here and picture 50 worse scenarios in my head off the top of my head.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he could have been giving up sacks left and right. He could have been, run stuffs and pressure. None of that happened. He was moving people, and like I just said, the players were talking about him in the media val this week, and like David Benda and Jalen Ford both talking about how tough it is to go against him because he's so big. I mean, he's like 6'5", 360, something like that. 6'6".
To use an Alex Dunlap reference, he's got. I remember just like this is one of the words that stuck out with me, and I'll probably remember it till like the day that he retires from football. Is Alex said he has a cartoon-like punch.
Yeah, he does.
Like when he punches a guy, the guy will literally fly back a couple yards, and it's like it's like a cartoon out there. And he was talking about how he was like, I don't want to say he moves big. He moves well for his size.
He moves
well.
He
just moves well in general.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
And it's just like these are.
His feet are so fast to be able to, and you're right, he moves great, period. But to be that size and to move great, we're talking about Kelvin Banks being an ESM client, but I mean, Jesus.
I mean, honestly, I think it goes to show how good. It goes to show exactly how good Christian Jones is.
Oh yeah,
and because for him to be sitting, you got to be pretty damn good. I mean, though Christian Jones has
Gabriel Aguilar saying Alex graded him at 77.8, which is really high, even with the 3 false starts, and he had 5 knockdowns. Jesus Christ! I mean, this is the kind of, again, this goes to what I've been talking about. I do think, and we don't know if Christian Jones is going to play yet or not. All the players did practice this week, but you don't know practice. You never really know. And in fact, we've never actually heard what Christian Jones's injury is. So I don't even have a good way to gauge how long we should maybe expect to see him out. But if Cam Williams is back in, there's no drop-off. Christian Jones is playing at an elite level. Some of the best football we've seen from a Texas offensive lineman, especially a right tackle, in a long time. And I didn't see any drop-off when Cam Williams came in, which bodes very, very well for Texas moving into the SEC next year, when you're going to have Kelvin Banks on the left, Christian Jones on the right, DJ Campbell sitting next to Christian Jones. I think Cole Hudson will step in at center. And then I believe Hayden Connor will still have another year left next year too.
I mean, and here's the deal: is as we get more guys, there's always a chance of like a Peyton Kirkland or something like that to just kind of step up and really, just have especially when you start talking about like a full offseason workout schedule.
Sure.
Like this is seeing these Kyle Flood guys that he's been recruiting, seeing those guys eventually come up and start, because we still got the Herman guys starting for some of the guard and center positions. So seeing these newer Flood recruits, these big massive humans that he's been recruiting, seeing that eventually pay off all the way, Can't wait for that to happen. And that's not to disparage because Majors was doing one heck of a job. He's been one of my most underrated players of the year this year so far.
I agree. He's been phenomenal.
He's led the fewest amount of pressures on the offensive line.
Jake Majors is not getting his proper due, and I understand the frustrations fans have had with him, but he's killing it this year. We got to move on because we're coming up on Aggie Fact Thursday, and we still got more predictions to get in. First touchdown of the game. Who do you have, Nash?
I got Adonai Mitchell, man. Look, if there's a safe bet for a touchdown, it's going to be Adonai Mitchell.
That's fair. That's fair. But, I got to go with Brooks because I've been talking about the run-heavy game. And, I would love to see Brooks break one off early, like just a big, huge run early to get it in. But even if he doesn't, I'm going Jonathan Brooks with a touchdown run early. Josh Hoover. All right, this gets into the defense stats. Josh Hoover's the TCU quarterback, freshman. He's playing the dude's a gunslinger. He is prone to interceptions. I didn't put in potential INTs on my stats, so I'm going to have to do that now. But while I'm thinking about that, Nash, why don't you tell me what you think Josh Hoover's going to do?
Yeah, I think that we were talking a little bit beforehand. I was surprised to see what your attempt number was because I thought I was going to be high. I have him attempting the ball 55 passes, which is just that's all like in today's day. That's almost like a quarterback, or not a quarterback. That's almost like a pitcher going 100 pitches in a game, or like 100, like going the full game, 9 innings, 120 pitches, something like that. Like just feels like with this, you don't see it that often. But so modest 32 completions, 330 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. He's been prone to throwing picks. And going off of if we are getting our defensive backfield back, I think that this is a week that maybe Jalen Ford could pick a ball off. Michael Taff has been on a 3-game streak, so we'll see if that continues. But I just think the opportunities are going to be there, especially as they're trying to catch up in the game.
That's why I've got. Listen, this kind of I pinned this message earlier. Javier saying he's more worried about the back end of the defense than the offense. We put bad play on tape Saturday, and Sonny Dykes will attack that. I agree wholeheartedly with that. That's why I'm not even sure how much TCU is going to try and run the ball. I think if you're scouting against Texas, if you're trying to beat Texas, you can pull up more than enough tape now that shows you're not going to run the ball, but you can get the secondary. I mean, even go back to last week, Kansas State, they had a lot of help. They had a lot of short field positions, but they abandoned the run completely. And that's saying something from Kansas State to completely abandon the run. The only reason they did that is because the passing was working. The only reason Houston did that is because the passing was working. I think Sonny Dykes attacks the secondary, and I think they're playing from behind. So I've got Josh Hoover with 60 attempts. Dude's going to have to ice his arm after Saturday, completing 40 for 425 yards, 2 touchdowns, but 3 interceptions. And the 3 interceptions is key there for me. That's the key to why I think Texas will win this game. So we may as well get into the final score picks. Listen, first off, for Aaron, who's not on air, he's got Texas winning 38-13. It's pretty close to what I've got. I've got Texas winning 38-21. I think, Texas has only cracked into the 40s once this year. I'm not sure they do that this week, but they've been in the 30s every week. So it's kind of safe to pick something in the 30s, right? 38-21, I think TCU gets some scores, but not a lot. I think this defense can stop TCU in the red zone. I know they can, I should say. I think they're going to make most of their hay moving between the 20s. but we're not. I don't foresee a shutout. So 38-21 is my pick. Aaron's got 38-13. Nash, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm just basically borrowing a touchdown from Aaron, taking away from TCU and putting it on Texas.
There
I'm
you
going
go.
45 Texas and TCU 6. I just want to say this would be an absolute wonderful time to start, actually just going out there and just whooping teams.
It would be.
If we're gonna look, I will certainly. We've complained all year about not seeing 3 phases of the game. I will gladly take that. I'll stop complaining if we get all 3 phases of the game. I would love to see that. I think that was something that would do wonders with the committee. It would actually be very interesting to watch because if Texas starts passing the eye test to that level, I don't know how you can continue to put Oregon above Texas.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I'm just saying. Look.
No,
At
I
that
know.
point, we would have the resume, and then if we're going out there and we're looking like, okay, Texas is finally not just playing well on defense in one game. They just went out there and let's just call it what it is. They just kicked the ever-loving shit out of this team.
If you're right, and it's funny, I've been thinking about this a lot. By the way, Two Broke predicting blowouts from here on out for UT. I've been thinking about this a lot. Sark has talked about this team's best football still ahead of them. And I mean, part of me is really skeptical, right? We're in week 9. If we haven't seen this team's best football change, most teams, to borrow from another former Texas coach, the cake's kind of already baked by week 9. Most teams, they're set in who they are. You can turn on the tape and see, all right, this is who this team is. There's more than enough data out there. There's more than enough film out there to say. So I'm not sure why Sark is optimistic, or you from that. But why you're optimistic that we're going to see that when we haven't seen it yet?
So basically, one thing that is this defense is we're getting healthy. You're starting to you're seeing everybody practice. Having a guy like Ethan Burke out there, that's like having him start to actually, get healthy and, return to sacking the quarterback. Massive deal. It's just honestly, there's no real reason why I'm thinking it's going to happen. Like there's nothing tangible that I can point to say, oh yeah, well this is why. If anything, it's probably the fact that we've jumped out to big leads, and really in the last 2 weeks, it's been the offense handing the ball in just bad spots, putting the defense in a bad spot, and the defense didn't go out there and respond immediately. But at the end of the day, I think that what you've seen Sarkisian. One thing that has stood out to me is he's been saying championship all year, and he's been saying it a lot recently. But there's been a shift. There's been a slight shift in how he's been talking about it. At the beginning of the season, he talked about how we'd like to go compete for a championship, but we're not there yet. Now it's starting to be more of now this is a championship team. We're starting to play championship football. Need the defense to pick that up. But if we can start playing all 4 quarters from the flashes that we've seen, I mean, man, if the pass defense can be there, this is that is a big if, but right now. But this is a team that if you start adding a pass defense to this, it's going to be very hard to get any yards on this team, and defense wins championships.
You know what? We're going to get into let's get into this more when we come back. But we can do that because, unfortunately, I have some bad news. Kyle Umling's not able to make it today, so no Aggie Fact Thursday. I know it's a bummer.
I do have one Aggie fact I can share.
There you go. Well, save it. We'll get to it.
We'll
then.
save it. We'll save it.
We'll save it. We'll get to that. But, even despite that news, we would appreciate it if you would follow Colton's request. Hit that like button for us. And we still have a way that you can, Michael, you could potentially win a free Jonathan Brooks Elite jersey, compliments of Elite Sports memorabilia by predicting the game. We'll tell you how to do that coming up a little later. But first, had to mention, if you are heading up to Fort Worth for the game and you're going to be tailgating, there's only one place to go to get ready for your pregame festivities. And by the way, it's a 6:30 kick, so you're going to have plenty of time to get your provisions in order. And the place to go to do that is Specs. It's a Texas born and bred company. There are a lot of locations in Fort Worth, around Austin, all over the state. And if you're sitting at home and watching the game, why don't you pull up Specs app or Specs Online? You can even have it delivered. I advise you to do it now, though. Why wait until Saturday? Why not get ready for game day now? And you're good to go. Check out Specs Online or the Specs app.
You're needing Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
All righty, we're back. Like I said, no Aggie Fact Thursday this week, although let's get it. Nash has got one. Let's hear it, Nash.
Okay. So, I always like to get my themed ones.
Yeah.
We do have Texas basketball ramping back up, and Texas schools that have played in at least one national championship game in football, men's basketball, or baseball over the last 8 decades. Abilene Christian, Austin College, Baylor, Houston, Rice, Sam Houston State, Texas, Texas A&M Kingsville, Texas A&M Commerce, TCU, Texas State, Texas Tech, UMHB, UTEP, UTRGB, Angelo State, and Trinity. No A&M.
Oh, that's
what a damn shame. Well, no, my bad. A&M Kingsville and Commerce.
Yeah, no Texas A&M College Station.
Nope.
If you will.
What a shame. What a shame.
Poor Aggies. By the way, this is because we are sons, Kyle, today. This is a great chance to get some of your questions answered. If you have them, throw them up in the Specs chat line. Of course, if you want to guarantee to get your question answered, the best way to do it is the super chat. So open line on the questions on the Specs chat line. And we've got one like Colby. It's not a question, but he's chiming in to say, I've been saying all week there are rumors around Fort Worth that Chad Morris may start. That's a possibility. I mean, I certainly know that Sonny Dyke said Morris is close to coming back. I think he's practicing. So we'll see. Frankly, if I'm a Texas fan, I think I'd rather see Morris than Hoover. I think Hoover's got a little extra juice to his game.
At the end of the day, I'm not. Dykes has proven to be almost like a Steve Sarkisian when it comes to injuries.
Oh, yeah. Every coach has.
Quentin Johnston was last year. Quentin Johnston was in a boot the day before we played, and we weren't expecting to see him, and then all of a sudden see him. I remember watching him run out on the field, and I was like, he did. That doesn't look like a dude that was wearing a boot in warm-ups. So I was like, okay, uh-oh.
And we do have Specs chat. We've got some super chat questions coming in. We appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for the support, including Jay Lee.
Uh-oh. Oh, no. Okay. Well, we lost Aaron, so I will go ahead and pick this one up. Or not Aaron, Travis. We're a pretty veteran team. What do you think is causing the inconsistencies on both sides of the ball? To be honest, it's been multiple things. On offense, you got the quarterbacks. That's been having Malik Murphy come in, and here we got Travis come back. I'm just going to go ahead and finish off on answering the offensive thing. A little switch.
There you go.
Almost like the quarterback position. I just think Malik Murphy coming in, this is something that I was curious how he'd handle. I just feel like it's been how he's handled his confidence. As a young quarterback, it's very hard to do well. And what I mean by that is it's hard to handle success because you start to get loose with the ball. And I feel like that's exactly what you've seen happen with Malik Murphy. You see it, and I don't want to say go as far as say just careless with it, but it's carelessness that he's displayed after he's gone out there and had a bunch of great passes. It's just having confidence in his arm, and then it bites you in the ass. I mean, go back to Quinn Ewers versus Oklahoma in his first Red River Showdown when he tried to throw that ball out of bounds, and the ball just hung up like a duck, and Oklahoma ended up picking it off. He just had way too much confidence in his arm at that point.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and I don't know what happened to the connection there, but anyway, I do think that's a great point. I think the inconsistencies on the defense are more baffling to me. The offense, I'd love to see more red zone. Obviously, that's been the big bugaboo on offense, but they're still putting up a lot of points.
I was going to say at the end of the day, it's hard. Like this feels like such a Texas fan gripe because this is a team that we're averaging below 20 points per game on defense scoring. And I think there's maybe 5-10 teams in the country that can say that. This is the first Texas team that we've seen in the history of Texas that scored 30 points in every single game. It's just we've had this is what I've gone and said. I've said this in past weeks, man. If Texas starts getting rid of these red zone issues, if we start having a more consistent pass defense through 4 quarters, it's hard. It's hard for me to think of a team that can beat Texas.
I've said that all along, that if Texas plays up to their level, they can beat anybody, and I mean anybody. But that's part of the frustration, right? I don't think this is really, like you said, a Texas fan complaint. I think these are legitimate complaints, and Jay Lee has certainly been on this train for a while now, and he's right to be that there are issues there, right?
Well, I think Quinn
it's the difference between it's the difference between being a very good team and being a great team. And that's the level that we're talking about. A lot of teams would love to be where Texas is right now. A lot of teams, most teams. There's 130-something teams in the FBS, and let's say, 129 of them would love to change places with Texas right now. Texas is a very good team. But if they're going to be great, and at this stage, we're talking about the difference between being like a top 4 playoff contender and a New Year's 6 bowl contender. And right now, I think Texas is in that New Year's 6 category because of, as Jay phrased it, inconsistencies. The red zone offense, the passing defense is just freaking very frustrating to watch, right? Those 2 things need to get fixed. And when you're going into week 9, again, this is we were kind of talking about this. You kind of are who you are, right? I mean, maybe somebody like Jalen Catalon coming back can really help because the passing game was a lot better earlier in the season, especially with Jalen Catalon making some calls. I think that helps. I think his leadership, his communication in the back end has been missing. And I know he's more of a thumper as a player, but as a leader, as a back-end guy, he is phenomenal, and I think that's missing. This is not a slam against Derek Williams, who I think is really good, but he's still a freshman leading that back end right now, and there are going to be mistakes. There was miscommunication, for instance, in OU on the game-winning touchdown pass. The secondary was playing a different defense than the front 7 was.
Well, on the Kansas State where Brooks kind of got burned a little bit, it looked like that was another play where even Joel Klatt, he goes and highlights him saying, I'm pretty sure Terrence Brooks is sitting there thinking, hey, man, I got help up top. And he's pointing out where Derek Williams is down low. And I think that it's more or less just a lack of execution, especially specifically when you're talking about the offense in the red zone. I go back to it's just, if it's not one thing, it's another, right? If it's not a Jonathan Brooks drop, it's a Jordan Whittington missing a block on the edge, which doesn't happen off. But it's one of these things that it's just been like Sark is probably having a headache, going like what the hell, man? Like what can I do? And I feel like Jay Lee, he said we were inconsistent with Quinn too. I disagree with that completely, because Quinn, he was the definition of consistent before he got injured. He may have not started out versus Rice or Wyoming, this amazing consistent passing with 80% completion percentage, but I mean, I go back to it, like when you get rid of the throwaways and the balls that didn't have a chance of making it to the wide receiver, he was 91.5% completion percent. Like, you literally cannot get much better than what he was giving us. You can maybe nitpick, and it's really easy to do that watching from the broadcast angle. You can nitpick maybe not pushing the ball downfield, check down Charlie, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm taking a check down over an interception or a sack.
I will too. And so that was a good question. I appreciate it, Jay Lee, for the $5
great.
US
It was a good question.
Texas boy checking in, by the way. $1.99. Shout out to Kingsville, Texas. I respect that. And Texas boy has another super chat we're going to get to in just a second. But I did want to say, I did want to pull up. Where was it? There was another chat question in here. Are all of these remaining games, trap games? Or are we believing this is a new improved Texas team that won't fall for these games? I came very close to writing about this in my column. Just a dude. These players are dialed in. They are absolutely dialed in. They're not looking over. In fact, I think it was Michael Taft said, I could be wrong, but I think it was Taft that said, look, we're treating every one of these games like they're the Big 12 championship game, because they are. They know if they stumble along the way that their goals are shot, right? And that has been the number one goal all season. Win the Big 12 championship. Get to and win the Big 12 championship. They lost to OU, and the margins are nil, right? Like, if they lose again, they're going to be stuck with a bunch of other 2-loss teams, including OU, who has the tiebreaker edge over UT. So they know this team is dialed in, and I think they've shown that all year long. They've answered every time there has been a tough play or games start to turn. They answer it. They did it against, even I've said this many times. I was really impressed with Wyoming, even though it was 10-10 in the fourth quarter. I was impressed that they did put on the gas and won easily, 31-10. They answered when Alabama took the lead in the fourth quarter. They came back and answered, won by 10. They really answered. The offense certainly at least answered against OU. It's just, they gave up some plays with 1:15 left and no timeouts. It's frustrating to see. I get it. But this is a tough team. They answered against Kansas State. They gave K-State had, with the 27-7 lead, K-State tied the game in only 9 plays. And that was because of, again, a freshman quarterback making freshman mistakes. Gave some short field opportunities. I'm not worried about trap games. I think this team is dialed in and ready for the rest of the schedule. Nash, what do you think?
Yeah, just a quick note. Oklahoma, they have the tiebreaker for in a direct head-to-head.
Right.
If it goes to a multiple-team tie, Texas really thank you to Kansas because Oklahoma, man, that could end up being a real pain in the ass for them. But I just keep saying it. I thought early on that Iowa State was a trap game. I kind of fell off after the gambling thing. I'm almost picking back up on that again. But I do have a hard time believing that Bo Davis will even allow this to be a trap game. And this is also
Iowa State was the Bo Davis game 3 years ago.
Yeah, that was. And to what you were saying, this team, this feels like when you talk about their goals on the season, it's clear at this point. the college football playoff was 100% in their sights from day one, from the very beginning. And I think that because Michael Taft, he's saying the conference championship, right? But I think he's indirectly saying, look, it's win or we're out of the college football playoff, or losing we're out of the college football playoff. Because if you lose, you're still in the Big 12 title race, 100%. You may not control your destiny, but you're still in it. There's everything is left to play for still in the Big 12. But that feels like a secondary goal for this team.
Yeah, that's fair. And that's fair. It is a secondary goal. By the way, Jade Barron was another one who's talking about we can't play in December if we don't handle our business on Saturday. So the main focus is on Saturday. Again, this team is dialed in. They are ready to go. And I'm just kind of looking up to see. I couldn't find who said that quote.
Sorry for abruptly stopping real quick.
No worries.
Yeah,
hey, we've got another super chat coming in from Texas Boy, by the way, $1.99. Mighty fine. I like it. Saying Catalan was at Arkansas with TCU's offensive coordinator, so that should help. I agree. I don't know if Catalan's going to play. He's still week to week as far as I'm aware. So I don't know if we're going to see Catalan play this week.
That's one of the ones where him practicing could easily be just him doing a walkthrough or something like that, wearing a green jersey. So look, this is I've complained about enough on this show. They need some standardized reporting on the injuries.
They do. I agree with you. It is frustrating but what are you going to do? I mean, college football is behind the times on so many things. I mean, random bitch, but the fact that we don't have helmet communication in the year 2023 when the NFL's had it since like 94,
high school,
something like that.
High school has had it.
It's mind-boggling to me, and they're making a big deal out of, we're going to try that out in the bowl games this year. Great. What are you trying out?
Well, I honestly don't like
for
that.
30 years.
I don't like that because here's the deal. You're introducing, and I wonder what bowl games are doing it in, but to me, it's you're just, especially if you're talking about, I don't like it if they're using the college football playoff, because this is, if you're introducing something,
I don't know that they're using it in the college football playoff. I think it's in some bowl games.
Okay, some bowl games. Okay,
Yeah.
Because to me, I don't know. It was just going to be one of those things that if they were just completely changing up the process of how plays are called, and all that stuff, that's not something to do mid-season. Even if it's at the last game of the season, but it's just get some common sense and just make it a rule.
I'm with you. It just makes too much damn sense. Listen, hey, we talked about earlier how you can win a free Jonathan Brooks autographed jersey. This thing's been up for grabs now for a couple weeks, and nobody's won it yet. But that doesn't mean it's not your turn this week. Here's how you do it. We gave our score predictions, right? Aaron is predicting Texas 38, TCU 13. I've got Texas 38, TCU 21. Nash has got Texas 45, TCU 6. If you would like to win a jersey, this is what you do. Hit the like button. That's the first step. You've got to hit the like button on this show to qualify. Subscribe to the OB channel, the OB Live channel, which you should want to do anyway, because there's so much great content coming every week, all day, every day, all week, including today. There's going to be a lot more good stuff coming up. So those are the first two easy steps, right? Like the show, subscribe to the channel, boom, boom, you're done. The next step, as soon as the show's over, leave your score prediction in the comments of the show, not the Specs chat line. The Specs chat line is great. We love it. We're having a lot of fun with it, but you got to leave comments in the comments section of the channel. And if you are the first to correctly predict the score of Saturday's game, Jonathan Brooks jersey will be sent directly to your house from Elite Sports Memorabilia. Compliments at ESM. We've already given away a Malik Murphy jersey once this season. So far, only one person has been able to correctly predict the score. So I'm not saying it's going to be easy. The easiest thing to do if you want a Jonathan Brooks jersey or Kelvin Banks or Anthony Hill or Xavier Worthy or any of the other elite ESM clients, Ethan Burke, who had 2 sacks last week, the easiest way to do it is to scan this QR code and go check out ESM. That is the easiest. But if the free, like if you're too broke and can't afford it, the free way to do it is to like the video, subscribe to OB Live channel, and then leave in the comments section of the video, leave your score prediction, and the first person to correctly predict it wins the jersey. It's just that simple. How do you not love that? Nash, do you love it?
Oh no! Look, it's clear I love it. Okay, sorry, I was looking for the because it's for the super chat. I was looking for our season predictions from the very beginning.
We do have one more super chat. You're right, and that's a good point, Nash. We did make season predictions before the season started. If you find them, let me know. I feel like I was going to be too low on it anyway. I had Brooks, I think, at like 11 or 1,200 yards because I thought C.J. Baxter was going to get a lot more carries than he did. Obviously, he got injured, so he missed quite a bit. But I was too low. Despite the fact that I love Brooks, I've been saying he was the best back all along. He's looked good every time I've ever seen him run. I love Jonathan Brooks. Now, others will claim to be president of the Jonathan Brooks fan club. I'll concede that. I mean, obviously, was the first on Orange Bloods. He was on board with Brooks going back to his high school days.
Look, okay, Sukamel, he's not allowed, okay? Because
why not? He's been pounding that drum forever.
Because it is his job to go find these high school kids before we do.
Yeah, but it's not his job to stake a claim to them and say this dude's legit. You guys need to watch it.
Sukamel gets a head start on all of us by 2 to 3 years. Okay, that is not fair. He's had
everything he sees. He puts on Orange Bloods. You could see it. It's not like he's hiding this information from you. But I'm saying the table.
He can't He can't say every single kid. He can't talk about every he does a lot. Okay, Sukamel. I long said Sukamel. He's been one of my favorite parts of Orange Bloods, he undeservedly is down in the mod ratings because of high school kids' decisions. So I personally, he's high in my mod ratings, but yeah, I'm just he gets an unfair advantage with getting to look at these kids really soon. But I did find our season predictions.
Yeah,
so
let's hear them.
Aaron Little looking pretty at this point with he said Baxter 900 yards, Brooks 750 yards. You had Brooks at 950, Baxter at 150. I had Brooks at 1,200 and Baxter at 600.
Yeah. You're obviously going to be the closest, and I think even you are going to be low on him. I think he's got 3, potentially 4 games left. He's sitting at 1,035 yards right now, assuming he gets.
Well, I mean, I was expecting Baxter to carry to.
I was too. That's why I had them both at almost 1,000 each, right?
And to be honest, I'm actually there's a chance that Baxter can get pretty close to that 600-yard mark too. He's at 329 yards. So
I mean, I'm giving it to you. That was a great prediction. But I think he's going to be up closer to 13, maybe even 1,350, 1,400. He could be pushing that level. Look, if he gets 145, like I predicted for Saturday, he's going to be at pretty close. He'll be at like 1175, somewhere in there.
He'll be right there. I mean,
with 2 more games, regular season games to play, including a potential Big 12 championship game.
Get those, and to all those people in the chat right now, I love those score predictions. But as soon as this is over, refresh the video and put that down in the comment section. Make sure you have the video liked and that you're subscribed to the channel. But yeah, look, if there's one thing I have not been good at season, I've been getting better at my game predictions for Texas recently, but that's been one thing that I've just been piss poor at. Terrible. I've been good on my player props.
I've been pretty good at picking Texas in general. The player props you're better at, but I think I'm pretty close. I'm doing okay.
No, you've been there.
It's the college football writ large, betting against the spread. Those game predictions, which we're doing tomorrow, by the way, show you why I don't gamble.
Well, I'm talking about specifically Texas's score. You cannot trust me. My burn orange glasses get put on way too often.
Just a dude, thank you so much for the chat question. Again, I think he ends up 1,300 to 1,400 yards. He's had a hell of a season. Unfortunately, I think he'll finish behind Ollie Gordon in the stats, and potentially the way Ollie Gordon's been playing, I think he's got a chance to be, to win the big season awards, end of season awards too.
And here's my question real quick before we move on from this. Brooks has to be the offensive player of the year so far, right?
For Texas, absolutely.
Yeah, that's
for the Big 12. I don't know.
No, I'm talking about for Texas, because that's
Texas absolutely
was going off because none of us said that. We had Quinn Ewers or Xavier Worthy. So
yeah,
Jonathan Brooks, one heck of a season.
Phenomenal. Armando, thank you, Javier. Like and subscribe to the channel, y'all. And by the way, Armando saying 1,500 for JB. I love it. I hope you're right, Armando.
Hey, if we make it to the CFP, 16 might be in store.
Oh yeah. I'm just talking big,
Yeah.
Up to I'm not including
not
postseason. Yeah. Guys, listen, thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate it. Do follow Javier's advice, like and subscribe to that channel. Again, if you want to win the free Jonathan Brooks jersey, those are the first 2 steps to doing it. We're about to wrap up the show. You can hit refresh and leave your game predictions in the comments section of the YouTube channel. The first to correctly predict the score gets the jersey for free. I really want someone to win this week. It's been too long. So listen, stick around. We've got a lot of great content coming up on OB Live, which is why you should be subscribed, which is why you should hit that notification bell. But coming up next is Anwar Richardson's Old Fashioned Sports Show. I think he'll have a little more about Quinn Ewers' situation and whether we can expect to see him play. I know he's going to have more tonight in the War Room Report on orangebloods.com, which you definitely need to check out. If you're not a subscriber, what are you waiting for? Following Anwar, we've got House Divided with Jeff Ketchum and Chad Hastings, followed by football. I think we've got prize picks today, too. Aaron will correct me if I'm wrong, but it's going to go Anwar's Old Fashioned Sports Show, then the Prize Picks Show, where they kind of do what we just did about picking the game, then House Divided, then we've got Football with Friends with Alex Dunlap breaking down his offensive deep dig, talking more offensive line talk. By the way, if you like that offensive line talk, Alex is the man when it comes to that. I love me some offensive line, but Alex is the king of the hill for that, for Orange Bloods. Following that is OB Outsiders tonight, Thursday night. So it's a full day of content on OB Live.
Back schedule.
Don't want to miss it. Stick around for it. For Nash, who loves talking them horns, I am Travis Gailey. For Aaron, who's producing behind the scenes this week while he's traveling, thank you guys so much for joining us. We genuinely, truly appreciate it. Have a great Thursday.